All right, folks, it is time for a brand new season here on a track that I honestly really miss as the first round of the Rio F1 Championship, but I'm glad it's here in this league as the opening round, none other than Australia. The track I did my very first league race, not just in this league, but it was my very first league race ever. And it sure was a hectic one. Four safety cars, just absolute chaos. And it seems like this track always seems to breed chaos in TFR races, and I suspect this year's race will be no different. So, let's get into a lap of this track and then talk a little bit about what to expect in the race. So coming into the first corner, the racing line is very deceiving because you want to brake a little bit before the racing line, because if you don't, then you'll be super late getting onto the throttle and it'll be very hard to, honestly, just to make the corner at all. So yeah, racing line very deceiving. Brake before it, chuck it up over the curb, and don't be too aggressive getting on the throttle in the exit, or you will pull a 2018 Bottas. All right, second part. Already braking at this point. A touch before the racing line recommends. You don't want to go in too deep to the first left-hand corner, and watch the aggression on the throttle. If you're too aggressive on the throttle, if you have a little bit of wheel spin, it's gonna send the back just a little bit out on you. You know, maybe you won't completely lose it, but that little bit of sliding is not optimal. You want the car to be hooked to the track the whole way through both these corners, sometimes being overly aggressive either on the brakes into this corner or on the throttle on the exit heading into the left-hander. That can be your downfall of your lap time. Easy flat right-hander on low fuel, maybe the slightest lift on heavy fuel and non-soft tires. And here's a corner I think is really fun. You pretty much brake right on, or maybe the slightest fraction before the racing line. You know, just absolutely chuck it over the inside curb. You can take the outside curb too. The only thing you don't want to do is be both on full steering lock and full throttle on the exit curb. Anything other than that, you have plenty of grip. All right, this corner you can be again super aggressive on the brakes, maybe right on racing line or right before the green of this barrier that's sticking out. You know where the exit sign is. It's a little just a touch before that. You want to hit the apex, obviously, like every corner, but you do not want to hit that sausage curb. And you want to be aggressive as possible on the throttle and the exit, but it's very tricky to stick full throttle pretty early because you're A, on the curb, and B, turning that car a little bit left. Either one of those, or maybe a combination, can unsettle the car and ruin your race. So maybe on low fuel, you'll be aggressive, but we'll surely see drivers be less aggressive in the race, or we'll see them crash, which we'll see what happens. All right, coming into the dreaded chicane, especially if you're a pad player. You want to brake a little bit more than you probably have to for the left-hander to make sure that you not only can take a clean line through the whole chicane, but also not have to go on and off the throttle on the second corner, be nice and smooth, carry your speed in through the second right-hander, taking a decent amount of inside curb, and just being smooth, getting onto the throttle on the exit. It's all about how early you can get to full throttle at the end of this chicane than it is carrying a bunch of speed through the first left-hander. You can see they're not perfect. Back end wanted to step out a little bit, but you know, it's just demonstration. You got the idea. But I am sure someone in qualifying or the race is going to bin it here. This track is very safety car prone. I think it's an easy track to drive, but it's just very deceivingly punishing for mistakes. The fact that you have walls close to the track and grass on the outside of the track, that's just a deadly combination. So while there isn't really any particularly hard sections of the track really at all, Like I said, going that even touch over the limit can just absolutely ruin your race and possibly the season. We saw how close the points battle was last year. Well, yeah, literally last year. It was 2021, and it's 2022 now. So don't want to ruin your season on the very first race. Nice easy corner here, brake right on racing line, mount the inside curb, take a lot of curb on the exit. Dipping your left side wheels onto the flat AstroTurf part of the curb yields a lot more grip than hanging the tires on the left side on the actual rumbly part of the curb itself. Allow the tires to sit on the flat parts of the track when you get to the throttle, because obviously it gives you more grip than bumpy parts. Fun corner this one, just a touch of the brake, chuck it in on the inside, ride that inside curb, and get pretty aggressive on the exit and set yourself up nicely for the final braking point. And this braking point is just pretty straightforward. A lot of people miss it when they're learning the game or learning the track. This is always the corner that people forget how sharp it is. And yeah, I just brake a touch before racing line recommends. And you don't want to go in too deep on this corner because you obviously want to set yourself up nice for the final corner. It's just like turns 3 and 4, where you want to be obviously as quick on the throttle as possible, but at the same time, that tiny bit of wheel spin that's okay for some corners, not okay here because that will make you lose grip with the rear end heading into the second corner of the section, which we'll get to now. This second corner is about how quickly you can get the full throttle. So you don't want to have oversteer or understeer. It's a real test of patience, especially on race fuel. And yeah, smooth is fast here. As you can see, there's absolutely no drama with the car whatsoever. You might be able to technically get the full throttle maybe a little bit faster, but that little bit of shaking on the rear end, that little bit of loss of grip is a net loss over someone taking the corner like I just did, nice and smooth. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, this track isn't really difficult once you learn it. It's just very punishing. So it has a nice risk reward factor to it. How many of those tenths are you going to try to shave off knowing that one misstep will completely end your session? Let alone the fact that this is the first race of the season, it's really going to set the tone. Is this going to be a season of TFR where the field's very spread? Is the field going to be very close together? Are the races going to be more on the calm and polite side? Are the races going to be chaotic with incidents and or accidents? This is really going to set the tone. And judging from TFR races past, how crazy that they have been, it's definitely going to be one to watch. Even though it is on paper a very straightforward strategy, I'm sure the inevitable safety cars that will be coming will do more than spice things up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm probably going to just rewind the lap so you can see the lap in whole to see a nice basic demonstration lap, and just keep my mouth shut, and yeah, that'll be it. is it. And one thing that I will leave with is that TFR may be the home of Friday night racing, but TFR championships are not won on Fridays. They are won Saturday through Thursday.